What emotions, feelings do you experience when you have obsessive intrusive thoughts and you're stuck in that loop, and you're having maybe compulsive behaviours as well? I want you just to get curious for yourself. Write them down, maybe on your phone or notebook. When you're stuck in that loop, if you can, catch yourself. What am I feeling right now? What emotions am I feeling? I want you to get really curious about that, because often when you're in that, you're stuck in trying to get rid of the thoughts. And that's natural, because you think that when you get rid of the thoughts, you won't have the feeling. But for a few days, I want you just to get curious and what am I feeling? Generally, it can be shame, feeling bad about, feeling awful, terrified, guilt, many emotions that maybe you experience something differently. But whatever the case may be, I want you to start writing them down. You will notice that no matter what the theme is, in other words, there's this thing I'm sure you've heard of it, OCD themes. What that is basically is that it's them emotions that are being expressed through different, subject areas. So even if the theme has changed from one thing to another, if you ask yourself, depending on how long you've had this, what have I been what has been the dominant feelings? And no matter what the theme is, the person will say that they still feel terrified, they feel shame, they feel awful, they feel bad, they feel guilty, whatever the specific thing is for them. So even though over years of maybe they've been suffering with OCD, they have switched between different themes, different intrusive thoughts around them, subjects, the dominant emotional states will still be the same. So that gives you an understanding that the thoughts and the compulsive behaviours are irrelevant to try to look at to change, because they're only changing the surface level. You're only trying to change the surface level, and it's very difficult. It's just not going to get any. You're not going to get any relief. Maybe in the moment, but you're going to go into a trigger again, and you're going to be back into the dominant emotional state that you're living from. So you can spend all the time, dissecting the thoughts and trying to get rid of the thoughts and talking about the thoughts. Nothing changes. You can spend all your time trying to resist compulsions. Maybe you will get some relief. Maybe you'll feel like, yeah, I could do that. I stopped doing certain compulsive behaviours. Brilliant. What happens when you're highly stressed, highly anxious, or you're gone into a triggered state? You're in the compulsive behaviours before you know it. You're checking, you're doing all the things that you said you're not going to do, or you're trying to do, and you feel hard on yourself for doing them then, because you haven't done them maybe for so long. The reason is because of that emotional dominant state that's been activated. So this is the key to look at. This is the bridge between the intrusive thoughts, images, whatever it is, to the compulsive behaviours. The bridge of all that is them emotions. Them emotions are repressed emotions being expressed. They're coming out through this dominant kind of feeling you have when you have these intrusive thoughts. What makes a thought intrusive to me or to you is my emotional reaction, because two people can think a thought, the same thought, and some person can just let it go, another person can't. The reason being is because there's emotional charge there within the system, within the body, within the nervous system, that's activated like alarm that just goes off, and it floods the whole system with cortisol, with adrenaline, with all these feeling states of survival. Then what you do is you go out of your body and you go into compulsive behaviours. Why? Because it doesn't feel okay to be in here. These emotions are too huge to feel. They're absolutely terrifying to be with. It's so terrifying to be in your body that you go out to try and ease that sensation. This is all natural, this is all okay. But the reason I'm sharing this is because if you want to get long-term relief, I'm not just saying managing this. I used to wake up, first thing, open my eyes in the morning, and I just have consistent intrusive thoughts all day till I went to bed. Relief for me was sleep, and I was doing all the stuff of challenging the thoughts, sitting with the compulsive behaviours, doing exposure, and maybe I'd get a little bit of relief short term, and boom, I'd be back into it all over again. It was like as if I never done anything. The reason being is because the dominant emotional state, the emotional wounds that were activating the survival mechanism. Survival is literally like survival. It's beyond our willpower, as I said before. It's beyond our reason and mind. So when it clicks on, you're going to do the thing without you even trying. You're just doing it. So this is the bridge to fully relief. If you can just refrain from doing all that stuff and go directly to what's the emotions you're holding inside yourself. What do I feel when I have when I'm in this loop? It's a loop for a reason. You see, you're stuck in the loop. What keeps the loop alive? The thoughts, intrusive thoughts, the compulsive behaviours, is the emotion, is the middle. This is the driving force of it all. So then you say, okay, well, I feel these certain emotions, but what do I do now? So them emotional responses, they're emotional wounds that have been activated, that have been triggered. So that activates the survival response. That's the flight and fight, that's the freeze, that's the fawn. When you go into them, as I said, it's not, it's automatic. You don't choose this, it just happens, okay? It's been a program due to different experiences that the system learned that that's not safe, so we go into this automatic way. So what we do is we learn, first of all, without going directly to the emotions, we learn to regulate the nervous system first and foremost. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be regulated for the rest of your life. I'm talking about getting long-term relief from OCD. This is not managing, this is not just a quick fix, this is not just a hope, this is not just information. This is actually real practical steps that you can take that you're going to implement every day for 6 months or longer, and you're going to see huge changes. You're not just going to see them, you're going to feel them. What's going to happen is that when you do these practices, the emotional response will start to come down. So that activation of the nervous system, that survival response, the heightened response, will start to come down. As it starts to come down, you're going to start bringing in this breath work. Well, that's the foundation. This specific breath work is the foundation, but is everything that you're going to continue doing. This breath work was stated that it's an ancient breath work, and it was stated that it can eliminate all obsessive compulsive behaviour, all obsessive compulsive, whether that be thoughts, behaviours, because it changes our internal state. It starts to regulate all them repetitive patterns of emotional responses that are just on in the background, whether we like it or not. They're running the show all the time. This breath work starts to change that dominant state, them emotional states that just lock on. They start to change that. When you start to change that, you start to feel okay. What does that look like? Well, them thoughts that were obsessive, they start losing their obsessive nature. In other words, they don't come as often, or they don't stick for as long. So for me, that used to have them constantly all day. What started was they started becoming less frightening, so I'd get less of an activation. So the emotional response started coming down, that survival response started coming down. Obviously it was a journey, it didn't just come down and stay down, it was up and down, up and down, up and down, because you got to understand that this emotional response, this is the default system, the survival response. It's going to kick in. So it did go up and down, and I was in and out a long time, until as I kept practicing, the reoccurrence of the thoughts became less frequent, and the time I was stuck in that loop became less. So what looked like a full day of being stuck in that cycle became maybe an hour, or became an afternoon. It wasn't just a straight line, it was a journey. So that's obviously what happens, because the survival is so strong that it keeps defaulting back. But as you keep doing this breath work, and I mean doing it every day, you gotta be strong and just do the breath work, which is easy in comparison to being stuck in OCD. So as you do that constant default will start to change. So when I used to wake up with obsessive intrusive thoughts, now I no longer do. When I used to have them all day long, now I no longer do. Going to bed at night, now I no longer do. This is what happens when you heal within. You have the power to heal yourself. This isn't something you're going to get, this is not something, you're empowered, because when you learn this, when you learn these techniques, you can do them anywhere you go. You can do them everywhere you go. You are empowered for life. I mean, that is a gift in itself, because we need support, yes, but to know that anywhere I go, I'm okay. Anywhere I go, I know when I do my practice and I regulate my nervous system, I'm okay and I feel okay. This starts changing your whole response. As the thoughts start to change, as the reaction to the thoughts start to change, the recurrence of the thoughts start to change, because what makes the thoughts obsessive is the emotional reaction. So as the emotional reaction starts to change, which is the middle thing, we're not dealing with the thoughts, we're not dealing with the compulsive behaviours, as the emotional response starts to change, the recurrence of the thoughts start to change. Then the compulsive behaviours also change. Why? Because when I feel like I don't have that constant reactive response, that survival response, I no longer need to do that compulsive behaviour. Because I'm only doing that compulsive behaviour to feel okay inside myself. If I start feeling okay inside myself, I don't need to do anything to feel any other way. So they all fall away over time. This is the power of this. Your mind will be blown. I see it time and time again with people that have taken this on and really committed to it, not just know about it, but really take it on and say, I'm going all in on this. Their lives have completely changed, from a lady having obsessive intrusive thoughts and compulsive behaviours. I don't need to go into the teams and all that. And she had it for 40 years, started doing this. It was up and down, obviously. And now today she is not stuck with obsessive intrusive thoughts every day. It is incredible. It still blows my mind. That's just one story. I've had countless and countless and countless interactions with people where they were down on the ground, really struggling with OCD, really not knowing any way out, having tried all other things, to 6 months, 3 months later, where they're there with a smile on their face. They are free to live their life. It's very, for me, I suffered with that from when I was 30 years of age, and for about 5-6 years, and the journey of all that. But in that period of time, I couldn't focus on anything else. I wasn't able to nearly work, I wasn't able to function, relationships were non-existent, friendships were difficult to even maintain, because I was so much pain, I was in so much stress. It's very hard to live when you're constantly in survival. You can't think about what you're going to do, what you're going to meet friends for. It's very difficult because you're in pain. This way gives you freedom back in yourself, and you're empowered for life. These are not techniques that's going to be taken away from you. This is your breath. You're learning how to breathe. You're learning how to not just breathe, you're learning how to change your breath, which changes your internal system. It changes your nervous system. You're learning how to release repressed emotion, and you're learning how to be with your body. You're learning how to be okay inside yourself. This is powerful. It's beyond words. It's something that it's a gift that I believe that I went through in order to really know that this is possible for you too. So if you'd like to take this on and really change your life for good, and not just live in the cycle that people say OCD, you just have to live with it for life. I don't agree with that. So that's their opinion, and everyone's entitled to that, but I have a different way of looking at it, and I'm going to make sure you know about that. This is a course, it's a 6-month program. You should and you must sign up to this if you want to change your life. The link is in the bio below, and I look forward to seeing you again. Thank you.